How's it rockin', Dween Nation? This is the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, or share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Paez, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we're here for part 2.0 NFL mock draft. As we promised y'all last week, we're going to make this a weekly thing where we can do our predictions. This week, we're going to even expand. We might include some trades here and there because we're getting realistic. Trades will happen throughout the draft, especially in the first round. We've seen big ones in the past. And I'm excited to kind of get creative with it because the combine is now come and gone. Some big risers, Shamar Stewart was a big riser, Jahdae Barron a big riser, Will Campbell. A lot of the top guys, of course, didn't participate in the combine because they don't really need to. If you're being highly regarded like that, the only thing the combine can do is lower your ranking. But some of the guys that are in between, maybe on the line of the first round and second round, the combine was big. We'll discuss a little bit of that. But before we dive into the mock draft itself, how you doing, Genoa?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, I'm doing good. There's nothing like a nice little mock draft here as we are, a month and some change maybe away from the draft, maybe a little more. But you know what, Justin? Draft is heating up there. Now in this new era, this new age of social media, you got a lot of players kind of speaking on what they feel, where they should go. And these top picks, man, there's a lot of story, not only with the franchises that are picking the first 4 to 5 slots, but a lot of these players. Each one of these players were Heisman candidates for the most part. A few of them weren't with, Abdul Carter and SHEDEUR Sanders. But, we have some players there that were just outstanding all year. You knew they were going to be in this position. And I got something new for today's draft. We want to kind of change things up each week leading up to the final draft, our final mock draft. So, Justin, this is about to get really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. And let's start at the top. You will this time do the odds, and I will do the evens. Last week I was odds, and you were even. So we'll get to pick each flipped position. But you start us off then, Mr. Numero Uno with the Titans. What do we got?
Well, Justin, I'm actually going on a splash here. So I saw a report today that the Giants actually have the best odds to trade for the number 1 pick. Mind you, Tennessee, who currently owns the number 1 pick, is very interested in engaging in conversation, Justin. So what's going to happen? I think that the Giants trade up number 1 with the Titans. The Titans move to 3rd, and New York goes to 1. And once we get this draft order straight up, Justin, I'm going to tell you who we're going with. I don't know what's going to happen because I know they might have to trade another pick there, Justin, for Tennessee to go for it. I don't know if this website allows you to do like players or anything like that. I don't know if that was sweet in the deal.
I'm trying to get this through. All right, let's make it happen. All right, Giants are here.
Justin,
at 1. What do we got?
Justin, the Giants say, forget about getting a quarterback. Forget about all of that. Let's get the flashiest player in the draft. Let's go with Travis Hunter there. Really? I just think that, this might be something they're going to go for. I think realistically, they might just end up getting Cam Ward to put him in New York. But I kind of want to make this fun. I want to see Travis Hunter on one side of the offensive football, on one side of the wide receiving core with Malik Neighbors. I think you can get a quarterback. Justin, there's a ton of options at quarterback. Hey, if you wanted to make a crazy trade, maybe, Sam Darnold is not returning to Minnesota today. That's a big thing. So that can be the quarterback. Maybe you can go low, Justin. There's this guy in New England, the backup to Drake May, Joe Milton, who was drafted last year. That's a quarterback that you can trade really low for, get him at a bargain steal on draft night, and you have a franchise quarterback there. Or you can do what the Philadelphia Eagles did a few years ago when they got Jalen Hurts. They drafted him in the 2nd, 3rd round, a guy that wasn't really looked at, and you can do that in the draft. So get your guy in Travis Hunter. You got a guy that can play corner. You got a guy that can play wide receiver. Malik Neighbors, a fantastic receiver that you got last year. But let's make this an offensive ready. You got rid of Odell Beckham Jr. in his prime. You got rid of last year of Saquon Barkley in his prime. Let's rebuild that offense. The defense will come later. I trust my coach, Brian Daboll, to coach a strong defense. And hey, if Travis Hunter wants to be the corner, he can. But I think that this is going to be a pick to draw tickets there at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, obviously Hunter on the Giants would draw a lot of tickets. That would be the jersey to buy. I have a couple thoughts on the selection here. Them trading up from 3 to 1, I would think Ward would be the pick.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like possibly with the Titans at 1, I don't think they'll go Hunter. And then Cleveland, the rumors that have been swirling is that quarterback is where they're destined to
Yeah.
land.
So yeah.
So he could have stayed, but I see it. They're feeling the urgency of it, and maybe by this time, when we're into April, they have the quarterback they signed in free agency, so we know what their direction is. But okay, you got Hunter. I'll jump to 2. As I just mentioned, the rumor mill is swinging around, and it would be just a really good idea. Get out of the wrath and wretchedness of Deshaun Watson and just not having a good quarterback. Let's get them Cam Ward. I don't think there's much to be said on this. I think he's by far the best quarterback in the draft. SHEDEUR Sanders, a lot of things have been coming out this week that maybe he's not the best of characters, seems a little cocky, and it's really swaying some teams away from SHEDEUR, which only widens the gap for Cam Ward and puts him in demand for teams. So I got Cam Ward there. What do you have at 3 for the Titans?
Justin, before I make this selection real quick for the Titans, I'm a big Shador fan. I love his family. I'm a big Dion guy, Colorado. Something is worrying me a little bit of his mechanics. They seem a little flimsy to me, a little off. I still think Shador is a top quarterback talent in this draft. So for this reason only, I'm going to actually have the Titans getting Abdul Carter to shift their defense. A couple years ago in that division, my Texans got Will Anderson after they got their franchise quarterback. Obviously, Jacksonville, number 1 pick overall a couple years ago. Trayvon Walker, we haven't heard much from him. And the Colts in that division are looking for their defensive guy, too, at the moment. But I think that with the Tennessee Titans, they want to get a defensive player on there. There hasn't really been a vocal leader on that Titans defense in some years. I mean, we're talking Brian Arapahoe, maybe those couple years with Simmons at the D-line. And so I feel like Tennessee kind of, they tried quarterback so many different years. Mariota, Will Levis last year or a couple years ago. And I think that now they might need to be going to another direction and find their next defensive franchise cornerstone.
Yeah, I like it. And the Titans, too, as of today or yesterday, told Harold Landry, one of their edge rushers, that he can seek a trade. So maybe they're thinking, we're going to fill in a replacement, save some money because they're paying Harold Landry a good amount of money. So this could be a good move for Tennessee. Moving to 4 with the Patriots, I think they go to help their star quarterback in Drake May, and I think they're going to go towards the offensive line here, get Will Campbell in the building, and really shore up the O-line in the best way possible. Will Campbell is an alien. If you watch the combine, was he the only one that ran the oh my gosh, he didn't run he ran under 5 seconds 40-yard dash. So he's fast and he's huge. So Will Campbell I got there for the Patriots. What do you have for Jacksonville?
Well, Justin, I think in this situation, I'm going to go a little bit different here for Jacksonville. I think that they're going to draft another LSU player in the first round. Last year, Brian Thomas Jr. This year, let's get Trevor Lawrence some help there on the offensive line. It's been struggling. Let's go with Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU there. I feel like
that's who I just went.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me go. I completely zoned out here. Let me go different here. I'm sorry. Let me go with someone that's really, really not getting a lot of shine here in this offensive line. But let's go with Tyler Booker. I know a big stretch in this era, but sometimes in the first round you get the big stretches. You get players like a couple years ago, the Giants. They get Daniel Jones in that first 5 to 6 round, and it surprised a lot of people. Maybe this might be a pick though that can be a Pro Bowl starter, a guy that can be an All-Pro. A lot of these offensive linemen, they tend to go in the first round, end up having great careers there. And so I like Jacksonville going offensive line there. I completely thought you said somebody else, though. But yes, he's also a great offensive lineman there in Tyler Booker.
I like me some Tyler Booker. He's a guy who we talked about last week, a guy that, a leader on that Alabama football team, a guy that they're characterizing as the Will Anderson of the offense. Why not, establish a new kind of leader of your O-line? I know he's going in the teens to 20s at the moment, but hey, the combine, you keep growing up, and as we get closer to the draft, I'm 100% certain he's going to be rising even further. We move to the Raiders here, where I feel like this could be a prime spot for SHEDEUR. I feel like a lot of, that was kind of like him talking about it being in Vegas, but unfortunately, I actually think at this point in April at the draft that we're going to have Sam Darnold on the Raiders already, and they're not going to want to draft a guy in the first and go for and have Sam Darnold. So I think they're going to give his team a a necessary weapon, and I'm going to go with Ted McMillan from Arizona, a really, big wide receiver. I know Genty's right there, which is an intriguing play, but I think that wide receiver is something of more need, and I think they could get a running back in the second round. But what do you have there for 7 for the Jets?
Oh man, they can go many different ways. But you know what, Justin? This is one of my like dream scenarios in the draft. Obviously, you mentioned that Ted McMillan gets drafted here with Devontae Adams now leaving New York, with Garrett Wilson potentially leaving New York. I was gonna go that route there, Justin, but you know what? It's obvious that they need a quarterback so they can keep those wide receivers there. And you know what? This is my biggest dream scenario in this draft. I want to see Alabama's quarterback Jalen Milroe be the
Wow.
next quarterback for the New York Jets. He just feels very Jets to me. Think about it, Justin. Aaron Glenn, the new head coach, what he's been able to do, that toughness, that grittiness in Detroit, brings that to New York. You bring Jalen Milroe, who's been through a lot in his college career, right? He's got some ups and downs with Saban. He had some ups and downs this year with the new head coach and Bama. And I think that he is built for this moment. And he may not have a great rookie year, but Justin, he's a guy that you can throw in week 2, and he will start the rest of the season. He will have to take nails. He will have to go through some issues. He's going to have to learn. He's going to have to go through some battles. He might have some games, Justin, where he might not pass over 150 yards. He might not get the 70 rushing yards, but this is a guy that can transform the Jets franchise for the future. And hey, this might be the pick to save Garrett Wilson's, tenure and maybe add a couple other guys on that Jets offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what can get him to this spot. Currently, I believe he's, I don't know, maybe late first, early second kind of guy. Maybe the Jets can do something where they use this pick at 7 for something and trade into the first with their second rounder to get Milroe. But what Milroe's good at is he's a great rushing quarterback, and he's got a cannon. The thing that he's got to work on is the in between, in the middle of the field and everything like that. But I really like him as a prospect. I think he's only going to grow in the draft. Moving to Carolina here, they need defense, and I'm going to go with the guy that has really taken the league by storm, and I'm going with Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. He had a phenomenal Senior Bowl. He had a phenomenal combine, and he's just a freak athlete. I think it's an easy pick there for Carolina to help on that defensive side. Who you got for New Orleans?
Wow, Justin, there's so many ways they can go here. I feel like they'd want to go defense, but I want to make this interesting, Justin. How about we get another wide receiver there, another Ohio State wide receiver to pair with Olave? I'm going with Emeka Egbuka there. I don't know if I put him in the last draft. I think we might have had another player for the Saints in our first mock. But I just love this fit there in the Saints. I just think that they need to add some juice on that offense to make them interesting to watch. You got Kellen Moore there, who had 2 wide receivers in Philly. Before that, he was in LA, 2 wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. A couple years before that, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and that dynamic Dallas offense that was. I feel like he's going to want to continue that. I think they're going to figure out the quarterback situation as they go on in the draft, as they go on in the offseason. I think that the Saints are trending the right direction if they were to go here with Emeka Egbuka.
I like it. I like it a lot. I feel like he could be the outside piece. And then we got Shaheed and Olave. I really think that Moore is going to dive into the offensive side to help, because I think Derek Carr, unfortunately, is going to be their quarterback this season.
Yeah.
And he's going to need help, and Emeka would be a great play there. Moving to Chicago, there's 2 options for Chicago here, in my opinion. It's either going running back or offensive line. So you got Genty, but I'm going to go O-line because I feel like Ben Johnson knows the way you build a successful team is having a really strong O-line, and I think that this would be the perfect last piece to their O-line. So I'm going to go Armand Mimbo for the Bears. Who do you have for San Francisco?
Oh, man, Justin. Well, breaking news, they did just trade Deebo Samuel this past weekend.
Yep.
So I think it's only right, Justin. I want to go Luther Burden here, but how about we go with my guy to UT, Matthew Golden? Okay. I feel like, Kyle Shanahan's going to want his guy, John Lynch, that front office there. They're going to want another guy to replace him. Ayuk has got some issues there as well. We don't know how long he'll be in San Francisco. And then you kind of are stuck there with the hurt Kittle, a Pearsall who we like, but how good can he really be? So it's time to go another direction there. And let's go with Matthew Golden.
I like it. I like it a lot. I really like Matthew Golden. The way the combine played out, I've been hearing a lot of things that he might be the first wide receiver taken in the draft. Like, he impressed a lot of teams, and that would be a really great fit for Golden and the 49ers. And I was hearing the same things about Ayuk, that he could be traded as well. Plus, he's recovering from a tough injury.
ACL.
So I think that would be a great play to Dallas now. Is it easy enough to just say Ashton Genty, or is Jerry Jones going to swerve us? Because I feel like that is something he would do, because they need a couple things. They need corner. They need, I guess, their CB2. Genty would be great, but I really think, unfortunately for Genty, because he is the best running back in this class, but the fact that there's like 6 to 7 other running backs that are very talented that to me could be workhorse lead backs, I think it's going to pull Genty down in this draft, just because teams could be like, well, why am I going to jump on Genty when, hey, I could wait for, this, or, Marion Hampton, Quinshaw Judkins, Travion Henderson, Cam Scattaboo, Caleb Johnson. So let me keep scrolling, because I still might go Genty. I know they need linebacker pretty bad. They need wide receiver, even though this run on wide receiver is really, they could go Luther Burden. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with Luther Burden for Dallas. They're going to wait till the second round to get their RB of the future, but they're going to help CeeDee Lamb in that offense and get themselves a wide receiver. What do you think about Burden as a fantasy play next year in a Dallas offense?
Absolutely, Justin. He will have a big play season, to be honest. I think it's kind of like a Jordan Addison breakout, something along the lines, a big wide receiver to a Godwin. And so I definitely like them. I like Burden next year as well to be a good counterpart to CeeDee Lamb.
All right, yeah. What about Miami? What do they got coming up?
Did you say Donovan Jackson yet? I don't know if you to the
no.
Bears. Okay, let's go with Donovan Jackson. I think Miami has got to go with offensive line there. You got to protect your quarterback. You're going to be going forward with Tua, I believe. You got a running back there, a superstar in Devon A-Chain. You want to have some blocking, some room for him to get another 1,000 yards. He had a great season this year, Justin, as we knew what was going to happen. You got to keep Tua healthy. He missed from week 2 or 3 all the way to like week 7 or 8, and he just wasn't the same. And Miami has not been impressive in the playoffs. Even when they do make it, they just are so, they're always the road team. They're one and done. And so they need some blocking so Tua can have some pocket presence to throw in the playoffs.
I like it. I know that I agree. O-line is a main priority for this Dolphins team, and they address that there. Going to the Colts, I think they're going to go with Tyler Warren. They need a tight end, and he's also a very good blocker. And I think that he won't get past he will be a top 15 pick in this draft. He's that good. I'm going Tyler Warren for the Colts. Who do you got for Atlanta?
I think Atlanta really needs to go linebacker. I think they might need to go D-line as well. So let's go with Mason Graham out of Michigan. I think with Raheem Morris being a former, defensive coordinator there, and I think that their defense is kind of the reason why they weren't able to win some games this year. You need a dominant defense, so that way your young quarterback there, Penix, will be starting this upcoming season. He'll have a nice defense to get him the ball and put him some perfect spots. And I think they need a defensive cornerstone there. They need a star defensive player for sure, a pass rusher.
I like it a lot. They definitely need pass rusher. I think they're only going to address defense in this draft, from what I've heard. Maybe another cornerback, maybe another edge rusher, D-line, of course. I think those are all places to address for them. Moving to Arizona, they're kind of in the same boat. They could maybe address wide receiver, but I think defense is going to be their main focus in this draft. And they go Will Johnson here, the cornerback out of Michigan. It's funny enough, these last two guys right here, Mason Graham in Michigan, obviously, and Will Johnson, obviously they're teammates at Michigan, but two guys that were top 5, top 6 kind of projected players early on. They've fallen a little bit, but I think they're going to be great plays, and they're good. They land in a good spot here. Who do you have, though, for the Bengals at 17?
Oh, man, Justin, where do I even go here? I'm going to go and say the Bengals, they just need offensive line. So let's see what they got here. You need to protect Joe Burrow. Let's go with Jonah Saviania out of Arizona. I think he's an interior offensive lineman. Let's go with him. I think this is a guy that can protect Joe Burrow for years to come.
All right, yeah. They definitely need O-line. I know they need defense, too. There's a couple things. Hopefully they can address that soon. Seattle, moving to Seattle here. What do they want to do here? They got Geno. Could they look to the future with SHEDEUR? Could that be the option for them? I'm not going to go that way. I'm going with Kelvin Banks. They could help in their O-line and push through this next season. What do you have, though, for the Buccaneers?
I think this is a no-brainer there. They lost Devin White a few years ago. The linebacking crew hasn't been all that well. Let's go with Jahad Campbell out of Bama. I think that's, once again, some of these defense need their next cornerstone guy. They need, there's a lot of offensive, star players, cornerstone guys. A lot of these teams now, Justin, need to go looking forward to find their next defensive cornerstone.
Yeah, I think that's a great play there. He's a leader on that Bama team. Moving to Denver, this is where it happens. This is where we get excited. Ashton Genty is selected from the Broncos, becomes their new lead back, and I think this would be one of the best landing spots for him besides maybe Dallas. I really like him in Denver to really – I don't think – we won't see that ugly committee that we've been seeing last season, and Genty will become the main guy. I'll pose a question for you. Ashton Genty, if he's in a Denver uniform, where is he getting drafted in fantasy leagues?
I'm going third round, Justin, maybe late second, just because it's Denver. Now, if it's Minnesota, if it's maybe they don't go forward with Aaron Jones, or if it's Las Vegas, then that's different, Justin. Then we're talking about beginning of second, maybe into first, if you have the 10th or 12th pick in that draft, right? If you have the 10th pick, you can go back to back. Maybe get you a Puka and Ashton Genty. I don't know if that's a stretch, but something along the lines of that. Maybe mid-second round at worst.
I definitely would love this landing spot for him. I would go with that like late first, early second kind of landing area for him in fantasy leagues. But what do you have though? Now we're moving to 21 with the Steelers.
The Steelers. Okay, did you pick Trey Harris out of Mississippi earlier, right?
I have not.
Who was the wide receiver you got for Arizona? I think was it a wide receiver?
McMillan. Yeah, Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
for the Cardinals.
Oh, we went with a corner. Out of Michigan.
Okay. It was Will Johnson, correct? Okay, I was going to say him, but I didn't want to make sure either. Okay, I think with Pittsburgh, they're going to need another wide receiver, Justin. But looking at these wide receivers, I mean, I'm not really sure if it's worth it going that early. So I think they might just go back to looking at defense, maybe an interior offensive line. I think they do, Justin. Let's go with Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I just think that the Steelers do need some offensive line help. They did struggle. I think the past couple of years, they were named one of the worst offensive line, which is crazy, Justin, because in the era where they had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, they had some really good offensive linemen. I think one of them was Villanueva was good. They had a couple other good linemen in Pittsburgh. And so I like Gray Zabel there to be the next, top offensive lineman there in Pittsburgh.
All right. I thought, honestly, at that spot, I think I would have gone SHEDEUR. You think Pittsburgh would jump for SHEDEUR at that spot?
Well, I think they like what they have in Justin Fields. I think they're just Justin, here's the thing. They're very indecisive about Russell and Fields. I mean, I don't really think adding a third quarterback in the mix would help it at all. I think it would cause a lot more confusion, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we're jumping to the Chargers here. Obviously, they don't need quarterback. They're going to go, since Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa might be out of town, I'm going with Mike Green, who has been taking the draft combine by storm and the Senior Bowl. He's kind of this honestly might be too low for him. He might go higher. Mike Green's been a great player. What do you have, though, for the Packers at 23?
Yeah, Justin, I feel like the Packers every year, they never historically go all out for offensive talent. Like the year that they got Jordan Love, I believe that they could have had Jefferson. And, there's a couple times where they could have had other players. I just feel like they go offensive line too. So give me Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. I feel like with Green Bay, they're always picking an offensive lineman or a linebacker or a D lineman. It's kind of, or a corner. It's not really flashy or impressive. It's just something good enough to fill in the spot.
Gotcha. All right. So we're now Tate Ratledge. We're going with the Vikings now. What do they want to do here?
If only they didn't draft McCarthy last year, right, Justin?
I know. Yeah, they could have had. Yeah, for real. What do I want to do? I think. Do they want edge? They could go secondary. I'm gonna look at the cornerback room. Oh, I'm gonna go. You know what? I love this pick here. Jahdae Barron from Texas. He had a really good combine. He might be regarded as the best corner in this draft over Will Johnson. So I think that'd be perfect for them there. Who do you have, though, for the Texans at 25?
Justin, let's go with Marcus Mbaugh out of Purdue, interior offensive lineman there. My Texans absolutely need offensive linemen in the first round, the second round, the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round, the sixth round. And if maybe you can make a second draft NFL so the Texans can get 5 more rounds and they can draft some more offensive linemen. And then, Justin, maybe another draft because, my goodness, Justin, we need offensive linemen.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. Definitely need O-line. Moving to the Rams, they need kind of an edge or linebacker presence, and Jalon Walker would be perfect for them there. Jared Verse, you could have an edge. You could have Braden Fisk at the D line, and then you could have Jalen Walker play linebacker. I know he's listed as an edge, but he played more at linebacker at Georgia. So we'll go with that there. What about Baltimore, though, for you?
Oh, man, that's a good one. With Baltimore, they really can go so many different ways. You know what, Justin? I think I'm going to do it. I mean, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I want to say Tez Johnson. Like, I don't know. But I don't know if it's too early, Justin. What do you think before we make it? You think it's a little too early?
Yeah, well, the thing about Tez Johnson is you would hope, because he's a small wide receiver, he's only 154 pounds.
Yeah.
He weighed in at the combine, but then he only ran a 4.5. So he's running slower than most of these wide receivers that you see at this list right here, and he's smaller. So I think he might fall in the draft based on that.
Let's go with Trey Harris. I just think I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to believe that Baltimore goes a wide receiver. I know this is not the flashiest guy. He is the best available on our board. I know he hasn't been getting a lot of talks, but hey, I think Baltimore, I want to change it up a little bit. They did have a pretty mediocre defense this past year, but I think last episode we might have gone defense. So I kind of want to go offense just for the fun of it this episode.
Okay. Yeah, Trey Harris, that would be a really good fantasy piece, I think, for Baltimore if they get
They need
a
a
wide receiver like
Justin.
Trey Harris. Moving to Detroit, they need somebody to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson, and James Pierce has been dropping, so I'm going to go with him there. I know there's been questions about his character, similar to SHEDEUR, but with a coach like Dan Campbell who will get that culture out of him, get that team vibe that he kind of builds there. I think James Pierce would be great there. Who do you have though for the Commanders?
Justin, let's go with Michael Williams. I think the Commanders are going to want to now build up that defense there. That their offense is loaded, ready to go. They want a defense now that can get some pass rushers there to get after Hurts and Dak Prescott. And they want to be the top team in the NFC now. They're going to have to pass rush their way up.
All right. Well, I'm not going to let this slide anymore. With the Bills, they're going to trade out of this spot with Tennessee. Tennessee's going to use, a couple of the picks that they made to get themselves into the first round, back into the first round, and that's where we're going to get a trade if it lets me. Jeez Louise. Okay, maybe it's not letting me. I'm trying. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, this website.
Anyway, I know I need to test this out a little bit more, but we will keep pushing. All right. Well, you're going to view it as if Tennessee traded back in. They had Abdul Carter at the top of the draft. Now they get themselves SHEDEUR Sanders, which would be a great for them. Really set them up to have two cornerstone pieces, one on the offense, one on the defense. And a team that looked really bad last year, and their quarterback made a number of goofy plays. Now they get SHEDEUR Sanders. So yes, audience, if you're watching, you just jumped in. SHEDEUR is not going to Buffalo. He's going to Tennessee. Something's not working with our little simulator here, but that's all right. Moving, though, to Kansas City, what do you have for them at 31?
Justin, I also want to do a trade, but I also feel like the Super Bowl loss is really sour in their mouth, and they kind of feel like, man, if we just had a little bit more protection, we could have gone it. So let's go with Josh Simmons. I don't know if he's Josh Simmons, offensive lineman. It kind of beefs up that offensive line in KC.
No, I like it. I like that a lot. I think that the Eagles pass rush got to them like crazy. They definitely need to work on that offensive line. And then they
could see each other again.
Yeah, definitely. And Josh Simons is a really good offensive tackle. He was injured for a good amount this past year. But that's honestly why he's going this late, or he would be a higher draft pick. And then we'll finish this mock draft with the Eagles. They're going one of two. Actually, they could go one of three ways. I think they go either interior defensive line, they go offensive line, or they go tight end. I don't like any of the offensive line prospects here.
Or linebacker, depending if Bond returns or N'Kobe Dean is.
That's true. I'm going to go with Colston Loveland. I think Dallas Goedert is almost 30 years old, and he hasn't to me stepped into that Zach Ertz great role where he was kind of the guy. So I think that they stop there and they get Colston Loveland to kind of succeed Dallas Goedert. Dwayne Nation, that is our draft. 2.0 headed into this week in March, and then we're going to continue to do so. So keep staying tuned. We also have one more free agency predictions because free agency starts Monday, fellas. So check out what we have for wide receivers. We already posted running backs and tight ends as well as quarterbacks. So stay tuned, and thank you guys for listening. And Genoa, send us out.
Yo, Dwayne Nation, this was our second mock draft. And yes, we'll have one every week leading up into the draft. And it's getting exciting. There's a lot of news. Players are going to be moving up the rankings, and players are going to be moving down the rankings, as always in the draft. So thank you for watching. We have plenty more for y'all. And as always, we love y'all. And
Peace.